Okay, so before you start on your drawings with any type of color, I just kind of want to show you what happens. So I've gone through and I've chose the colors that I'm going to use on my cherry based on lots of experimentations with the color. So this is something that you're going to want to do before you even begin. So I did a lot of this so I'd know exactly what to use. Now these are all for the different values that I was going through my cherry and going to use, because there's several different values in the cherry even though you think it's just red. So I went through and did that. So let's start with something simple. So I just want to show you something how things work. So this is a pomegranate and I used it a lot for my cherry. So I'm just going to kind of do a middle shade and another one and another one and another one. Okay, so we have that pomegranate 4 times. Okay, so now we have a white pencil, we have a gray pencil, we have a black pencil, and then I have this black cherry pencil. So we talked about tints, tones, and shades on Monday. So if I want to add a tint, if you remember, a tint is adding white to a color. So let's see what happens when we do that. So that's what happens when I add white to my color. And it's kind of a magenta, kind of pink color. So once again, let's see what happens when we add cool gray to this as well. So this is gray. So it's almost super similar to this one, but what happens is, since gray has a little bit of black in it, 1, it makes it darker, and 2, it kind of adds more of a bluish tint to me, and this one has more of a pink. So this one has more blue in it, this one has a little more red in it. So that's what kind of happens, and I can take note of that or write it down. Now, the next thing, we're going to add a shade to a color. So let's see what happens. What happens is when we add a shade to some colored pencil, it almost completely wipes out the color underneath. So when I was in college, I had a teacher that told me to not really ever use black if you're going to do watercolor or colored pencils, because it's so overpowering. And so that's what I follow. So instead of using black, I like to use this black cherry. And so let's see what happens when we put it on there. See how less overpowering it is? But now we kind of have a problem with these two right here because they're kind of blotchy. Maybe we want to have them smooth like that. Well, if I put white or gray over these, it's going to drastically change the color. So what I have is I have this blending pencil, and it comes with the Prismacolors, and it's kind of like this creamy kind of see-through color. You all have probably maybe seen it, but it's good for blending. And so whereas the white and the gray blended this for me, I can take this and blend that. And now I have a really pretty shade of these colors. So this is a good way, remember when we did the boxes and the circles, I've used one color, but I have 3 different values. So obviously that would work great for the box or a circle or the cone. But let's just see for fun what happens with the black. It just almost looks black. So that's why I don't like to use black. Okay, so say you want this color right here, but you don't have one of these blending tools. Here's what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to use the lighter color and get it dark and filled in so you can't see the white of the paper. Then you're gonna have to take the black cherry and you're gonna have to go on top of it that way. It's gonna look a little different than that, but it will work for what you're trying to do. So that's kind of how the colored pencils will work. Now, and I know in my cherry, when I was doing it, that this was close to the cherry color, but to me it was still a little too burgundy red. So what I did was I took this orange color, which was Scarlet Lake, that's what it looks like normally, and then I added it over to the top of that, and I got this really pretty cherry red that I liked. So as you're doing this, sometimes you're gonna have to experiment and use two colors on top of each other, and then you still on top of that, to get darker, you may have to add some black cherry or a darker color. So that's kind of a way that I like to kind of start and experiment with what my colored pencils do. But I always do keep in mind the tint, the tone, and the shade, because it's really helpful if I'm just using one color, but I want to show different values. You know, that's an easy way I can do that. One color and my white, gray, and like a black cherry will work really good for that. So that's just something I like to do before I start, so I'd suggest you do that. You're definitely probably going to need to do some experimentation and blending of your colors to see what happens. Anyway, that's it.